Okay, so Parshas Shemos. The Chazal start with a question because in Shemos, Parshas Shemos begins Eila Shemos b'nei Yisrael aboyim Mitzrayim Ruvain and so on and so forth. Ruvain, Shimon, Levi. So Chazal asks why the names of the Shvatim were listed again in Parshas Shemos. In Parshas Vayechi, at the end of Parshas Vayechi, the names were already stated, right? So, like, okay, what are you telling me? Eila Shemos b'nei. So I know that's the what people that came into. All right, that's right. So the Mefarshim go into give a number of different explanations. The Medrash, however, says like this, that the names of the Shvatim corresponded to certain elements of the Geula, of the redemption of Klal Yisrael from Golus Mitzrayim. They were under the subjugation of Egypt and suffering so very much. And each one of the names has within it a reference. Vayara Hashem esonenu, Hashem saw Ruvain, Shimon Shomai es nakoseinu, he heard our cries. Shimon, Levi is together with us in Tzara. Itrat Anochi B'Tzara. So that's why the Parsha, because this is the Parsha of Geula, this and Golus. So they wanted to begin this whole saga. This is the whole Parsha, the whole Sefer Shemos is a saga of Golus, of being in exile. This has been the history of Klal Yisrael for so many thousands of years. But this is the beginning of the process, and we know that the roots are always reflective of what's going to be afterwards. So this is the whole picture of Golus Mitzrayim and Gulas Mitzrayim, and therefore that's the whole book of Shemos. So therefore, the Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted us to be aware that the Geula was already implanted. It was already there. It was in place with the names of the Shvatim. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, and so on. The Medrash goes through all of the names. Okay. Every day, when we daven in Shemon Esrei, we say Umevi Goel Livnei V'neihem, and we talk Zocher Chasdei Avos, the Chesed of the Avos. It's not that he remembers. So everybody thinks Zocher Chasdei Avos means saying, Hashem remembers the Chesed. No, it's not remembering like we remember. It means it's never forgotten. It means Zoicher Chasdei Avos, the schira of the Chesed of the Avos, a Chesed, Notzer Chesed La'alofim, Notzer, he keeps it forever. Anytime La'alofim doesn't means forever. There is no higher number in words than Aleph. You remember that? That Aleph is the highest number in words. You know that there's the word Revava, which means 10,000, and Aleph only means 1,000. But Revava is really many thousands. It's still Elofim. It's Rov. It's a lot more. So a lot more is 10,000. It's the next stage up. But really, the highest word in numbers is Aleph. Notzer Chesed Lo Alofim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu guards, protects, keeps the Chesed of the Chesed that is done La Alofim forever. Because that's the highest number. That's for our understanding. We're number people. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not number people. We're unfortunately stuck with numbers. And we'll see even later on how much we are really stuck. Okay, so we say Mevi Goel. He's going to bring the Geula Livnei V'neihem to the children of the Avos, right? Zocher Chasdei Avos, who Mevi Goel. He's going to bring the Goel, the Mashiach, Livnei V'neihem. Now, what's this B'nei B'neihem? The children of his children, l'chayra. But we all know the Gemara in Kedushin tells us, this is a fact, and anybody that has the schus to be a grandparent knows that b'nei bonim hareim kebonim. Right? So it should just say, maybe goel livnehem. He's going to bring the gula to his sons, to his children. What's the b'nei v'neihem? So from this we see that there's a middle stage. There are bonim, those are the shvatim. And then there's b'nei bonim. That's all of Klal Yisrael. So we are b'nei b'neihem. But there's a state and a status even of a middle ground. And that was the shvatim. There were avos. Yitzchak was not called a ben. Yitzchak was not a ben. He wasn't from the bonim. He was an av. His role was an av. Yaakov's role was an av, even though he was a son and a grandson, but he was an av. But then there were the bonim. The bonim were the shvatim, and we have to understand what that means. Why we say livnei v'neihem, and to put it into meaningful context, it means that there's a stage in between being b'nei hem and b'nei b'neihem, and that is the stage of shvatim. Now, Chazal is amazing. They have a way of saying the most profound things in very simple ways. And if we just take it as simple, then we're losing out on so much. So this is a famous statement. We learned it from the Megillah with Esther. Omer davar b'shem omro, mevi geula la'olam. Remember, we're talking about geula now. Don't lose focus. We're talking about geula. And it says there in the Gemara Megillah that we know from Esther that she told Achashverosh b'shem Mordechai that the big son and Zeresh wanted to kill him. So someone who says over something and quotes from whom he heard it, or from who's the one who said it, that brings geula to the world. Okay, very nice. Is that the way to bring Mashiach? Okay, let's make sure that we give credit where credit is due. Right? It seems very, what are we saying? Maybe, that's what's going to bring the geula. And the answer is yes. And let me explain why. Because it goes to the very meaning and understanding of what geula is. And that's our subject today in Parshas Shemos. What is geula? What is, I don't like translations. I want meanings. Translation, of course, redemption, salvation, all these nice, lovely words. But what does it mean to really be nigal? And what does it mean to be in golus? So the truth of the matter is that anything that is disconnected from its source is called golus. You have a source, you come from somewhere, and you're disconnected. We have Eretz Yisrael. That is our land. We are disconnected from it. We're in golus. Reconnecting to it, to the source, is geula. So what does it have to do with saying something like that? It seems, but hear this. The whole world was created with words. And we've said that so many times. Vayomer Lakim Yehior, Vayomer Lakim Tache Dehoretz Desha, it should grow the vegetation. There should be light, Yehior. Vayomer Lakim, he said it. The entire Bria came into being through words. Through words. Whose words? Hashem's words. So the world is full of words. Creation was words. So the words, everything in creation is a word. Like in Lashon HaKodesh, the word for word is what? Dvarim. And the word for thing is what? Dvarim. That's the only language in the entire world that puts together thing and word and makes it into one word. What is it? Because that's how the thing came into being, was through a word, through a statement, through a bria that was evoked from HaKadosh Baruch Hu into existence through speech, through words. B'dvar Hashem shomayim na'asu. the word of Hashem, the heavens were made. What does it mean? It means Hashem said that there should be heavens, there should be earth, through words. Now, if everything in the world, everything that we see, and everything that takes place within the world are the words of Hashem, so the world is pretty full of words. And that we know. There's no bigger inflation than there is in speech. Everybody talks about speech. Everybody has what to say. And it drives you crazy after a while. It's really... But the world is full of speech. That's what the world is. But not that kind of talk. That's all talk, but it's not speech. Okay? Now, if we relate, let's come to the crux here. If we relate the things of the world to the one who said them, that's the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So when we see the tree and we say, oh, this is the tree that Hashem said should be a tree. And this is the flower that Hashem brought into being through a word. When we see the thing and we relate it back to the word that said the thing that made it be, then that is reattachment. There's disattachment when you're not connecting it, and you say, oh, look at that magnificent, beautiful, beautiful scenery. Nature is so amazing. Nature. Mama Nature. Nature is a big problem. Look at it's not so sweet and not so nice. It's a pretty tough lady. This nature, right? Look at what's going on in LA. I mean, you gotta sit there and what? Well, that's all human made. It's everybody thinks it's nature. It's all human. It's the fault of the Jews. That's for sure. I mean, that's no doubt question. They're blaming everything. All right, so that's everyone's blaming the Jews. It's the fault of the Jews. Yeah, you think you're making a face, but they're serious when they say it. It's amazing, because if it wouldn't be for the war in Gaza, there wouldn't be such global warming. I don't even know how to say the word. That's that, like HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't know how to take care of his world. No matter what we do, if he wants the world to be, it'll be. If he doesn't want the world to be, it won't be. But regardless of what we do, but let's get back. When we connect the word, the thing, which is the word, to the one who said it, Mevi Geula Lolam, that's the ultimate Geula. When Klal Yisrael, certainly, and the rest of the world, after Klal Yisrael, when Klal Yisrael comes to their senses, and we relate everything back to the one who said it, then we will have brought the Geula. That's an amazing thing. Now, when you say, Dover, Alma, Dover, M'Shem Omro, this is the Maral. The Maral teaches us such wonderful things, such depth, that when you relate, so the whole idea is the relationship, relating everything back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's called Geula. Now, the Ramban, in his introduction to Sefer Shemos, the Ramban, he says that Sefer Bereshis, of course, is the Sefer Ha'avos. Those are the roots. The Sefer Shoroshim are that which brought about, from which everything stemmed, and Sefer Shemos is the continuation of those roots. It's the productivity of those roots, and that's called Sefer Habonim, who were in Golus. The others were not considered as such. Wasn't Klal Yisrael's Golus. Yaakov Avinu was the Av HaGolus because there had to be a root for it. But the ultimate in Lamaisa was, of course, Klal Yisrael and Mitzrayim. That's the Sefer Habonim. Now, so if we return, says the Ramban, to the Darga, to the level, to the Maila, to the attribute of the Avos, then we're coming back to our roots. We're coming back to our roots. And this is why, and what was the achievement of the Avos? That everything comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Starting with Avram Avinu, which we'll see in a second, but Avram Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, each one representing one of the midas with which the world stands, Torah, Avodah, Gemilas Chasadim. These are all midus that the world stands. Abraham, Gemilas Chasadim, Yaakov, Torah, Yitzchak, Avodah. But the idea is that the avos represent the source, the shoresh of bringing everything back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when we return back to the Maila of the avos, that is the Sefer Geula. And that's why Sefer Shemos ends with the building of the Mishkan. Because what was the Mishkan? The Mishkan was the place of Gilui Shechina. So it was revealed. And we in the Mishkan are very much connected to the source, which is all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's the beauty. Shavu lamalas avosam. They returned to the Maila of their forefathers. The Maila of their forefathers is the connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu as the source of everything. So what the Ramban is saying is that Gulas Mitzrayim was the return of the Bonim, who were the Bnei Shvatim, the Bnei Bneihem, to the roots of the three Avos, whose Amunah was the bedrock and the foundation of everything. Listen to the Rambam. Amazing Rambam. I'll go through it and I'll translate it as best as I can. Now, Avram Avinu, you know what Avram Avinu was? The man that stood against the entire world. The guy that could stand up and say, "You're wrong. I'm right." I remember Kofi Annan, who was the Secretary General of the United Nations when I was younger. Kofi Annan, when the whole issue of Israel came on the United Nations, how is it possible that the whole world is wrong and only Israel is right? Yes, that is true. 100%. The whole world is wrong. And you know why? Because we come from Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu, Hischel Lamod Likrok B'Kol Gadol L'Chol Ha'olam U'Lahodiyam She'esham Elokai Echad. And he taught them that there's only one God, V'lo Ro'u La'avoy, and it's only He is worthy of our service. V'shosal B'libam Ha'ikir HaGadol Hazeh. And He is the one that implanted this enormous principle in their essence, in their heart, the world. And he informed taught his son Yitzchak, that's the beginning. The Yaakov Avinu Lamad Banov Kulam. He taught Klal Yisrael. He taught his children. And it became stronger and stronger with the children of Yaakov, and to those who were connected to them. We became a nation Shahi Odas es Hashem. So you want to know, somebody tells you, what is a Jew? It's someone who knows there's a God. But that was up until they were 210 years in Mitzrayim. And they began to learn from the actions of the Egyptians, the foul actions of the Egyptians. And they were idol worshippers just like they. Chutz mishevet Levi, except Shevet Levi never fell into that trap. Sha'amad b'mitzvahs avos. He stood up to the mitzvahs that the fathers, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, implanted. Ukemat kat. It was almost, and that's the word kat means cut off. Comes the word cut, right? Of course. Or maybe it's the other way around. Ukemat kat. It was severed. Avram. This principle, this major principle that Avraham Avinu planted, ne'akar. It almost was totally uprooted. V'chozim b'nei Yaakov l'ta'us ha'olam u'ti'ioson. And Klal Yisrael started to fall back to the situation before the Avos, their mistakes and their stupidities. So that's what took place in Mitzrayim. That's what's called Goluf. Golus means when you're disconnected from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it took a Moshe Rabbeinu to bring us back. And once we saw, and we all were witness to, all the wonders and miracles and Hashem's revelation of his presence within the world, then we became reconnected to him and, of course, to the Mila of the Avos. And that's what the Ramban and the Rambam are telling us. Now, the end of Vayechi, we know that Yaakov Avinu wanted to tell his children, the Shvatim, when the Gula, the Ketz. He wanted to let them know about the Ketz. The Yalkut Shimoni says an amazing thing. This is a medrash. And he says that both Yitzchak and Yaakov wanted to reveal the Ketz, but they were blocked from doing so. The Yalkut explains that Yitzchak told Esav that he wanted to give him a bracha before he died, and the purpose of that bracha was to reveal the Ketz. That was going to be the bracha. To whom? To Esav. So it makes sense that Yaakov wanted to reveal the Ketz because he had Klal Yisrael all around him. He had the 12 Shvatim. That's Klal Yisrael. They were united. Oh boy, that's a wonderful word everybody talks about. B'yachad. It's beautiful, but it's all nice concept, but you have to actually do it. But they were now united with Yosef, with the whole Klal Yisrael together in one place. And he was so that makes sense that Yaakov wanted to reveal how the Gula will transpire. They were on this most elevated level, Klal Yisrael, the Shvatim. And when Yaakov Avinu said, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, so what did the Shvatim say? She'ein belibcha elo echad, just like there's only echad in your heart, so it is belibeinu. And then Yaakov says, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus, so that's called Malchus. That's why he ended up with Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuso. The glory, the honor of his Malchus. Malchus is always covered. Always covered. The bracha we make when we see a Jewish king is Asher Cholak Mikvoidoi Liyareyav, that he gave a portion of his covet, because all covet should be HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but he allowed for there to be a covet to a Jewish Melech. And even when you see a non-Jewish king or queen or prince, king now, yeah. Whenever you see them and you don't want to think about their nabach, how they don't have any nachas in this world, but it's when you see a king, even a goyish king, you have to make a bracha. And that bracha is not asher cholak mikvoidoi. Cholak means we become a part of it. We have a chelik in it. The chelik of a now, not on mikvoidoi. He gave over a little bit of covet to these people. Now, I remember Moshe Shapiro Zachar and Tzaddik Levracha used to come to London very often. And when we were living there, and he would say shiurim for us, and many times it was in our home, he wanted to go to Buckingham Palace. He wanted to make the bracha. He wanted to make the bracha. It's like you make a bracha, and when recognizing even in memshola, the word memshola is governance. Yes, the kingship. Memshola comes from the word mashal. Mashal is an example. Example of what? Of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Just as he is the true melech, the ultimate melech, this is a mashal of a melech. It's just a mashal. Don't get it very excited. It's just a mashal. Okay, so they were all together, and this was Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusai. And even more than that, the Gurarye, the Maharal says something else. The word echad, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem echad. Now we all know what echad is, right? We learned how to count. So echad is one. What does it mean, one? So the Maharal teaches us that the aleph of echad, aleph is spelled aleph ches daled. The aleph of echad is Yaakov Avinu. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. The Echad is one is Yaakov. Ches, 8, right? Who had 8 children? The 2 Imahos had 8 children together. But we're not counting. We're talking about in terms of Shvatim now. Dinah was an extra one. But they had 8 Shvatim. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zvulun, yes, was 6. And then came Rachel with 2, is 8. With me so far? So Rachel and Leah had 8. So you had 1 is Yaakov, 8 were Rachel and Leah, and Bilhah and Zilpah had 4. The Dalet is 4. So when you say Echad, Mi ka'amcha Yisrael, goy echad ba'aretz. What does that mean, goy echad ba'aretz? We got a lot of people, a lot of nations, right? At least 70. And some, not talking about some nations, and then there's hundreds. No. Right? So, echad is Mi ka'amcha Yisrael, goy echad ba'aretz. That's Yaakov. The Ches children of the Shvatim of the Amos, and the 4 of Bilhah and Zilpah. So that makes sense that Yaakov Avinu was to reveal the Geula, but Hashem didn't want him to. We'll leave that for the moment. But why did Yitzchak want to tell? Why did Yitzchak want to tell Esav of all people? Esav. What does he have to do with the Geula of Klal Yisrael? The Ketz is the Geula of Klal Yisrael, which ultimately will have effect on the whole world. But what is Esav doing in the picture here? Why would Yitzchak want to tell this Esav? So this Geula, this Ketz, comes in 2 ways, 2 avenues. There are 2 ways that it can happen. This process of Geula can unfold in 2 separate ways. Ketz means the end of the darkness. Ketz som lachoshech. He put an end to the darkness. We're all in darkness. I mean, yeah, we have a lot of light, but that's not light. Light is an enlightenment and the ability to perceive and to understand and to know and the way we look at the world. The way we look at the world is so very minuscule. It's a minuscule world that we're in. We don't realize it. We don't know how vast and how great and how amazing. You know, we think that space is very amazing, right? Look how big it is. No, the light years, hundreds, thousands, millions of light years away. Gosh, that's underplaying it. We don't know the vastness. We don't understand the vastness. We don't know. We're, little small specks of sand in this enormous ocean. So it's enlightenment. Ketz som lachoshech. He put an end to darkness. And that's one way of being the Ketz. The world is in such darkness, and I don't have to go into too much detail. Anybody turns around and looks around what's happening in the world today, they know that that's all it is people walking in the dark. That's one way. The other way of Ketz is when the Ra reaches such a level of evil that it self-implodes. And if you're really astute and thinking, you can see it happening before your eyes right now. The Ra is imploding. It will implode. Imploding meaning it destroys itself. And that's what we say. And if you go back to the davening of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, we say, V'chol harisha kula ka'ashan tichle. The whole world is going to dissipate like smoke. No, sometimes you see smoke and it makes all kinds of things. It's big, or clouds. However, Kitzei over. You see a cloud, big clouds, and the cumulus clouds, right? And it looks like there's cities up ahead, and it blows away. Kol harisha kula ka'ashan tichle. It will cease to be like smoke. Kisavir memshela zodo minoret. When the kingdom, the rulership better, of evil will cease to be. So there are two kinds of ways of bringing Geula. Either self-implosion, self-dissipation, it's gone. You reach such a point you cannot continue to exist, or you vanquish the darkness, Kates, some lachosha. There's two ways. Now, Yitzchak wanted to save Esav. That we all know. It says openly in Chumash, Yitzchak ohev es Esav. He loved him, and Rivka loved Yaakov. But Kates, some lachoshech, is the way Yitzchak was trying to tell him that this Iker that Avraham Avinu implanted in the world is going to vanquish the good, the evil, and Esav, who is called the Yisrael Mumar, who doesn't have any connection at all to Israel, to Klal Yisrael, because it says Yisrael, Afal Pi Shechata, Yisrael, who a Jew when he sins, even though he sins, he's still you can't lose it. Once you're in, you can't undo it. But Esav wasn't up until that was after Yaakov. But up until then, a person can go out. Yishmael was thrown out. Yisrael was thrown out. Goodbye. We don't want you. We don't need you. You're bad. Go away. It's the truth. That's what Sarah said about Yishmael. There's another way where the person himself chose to pull out, and that was Esav. And therefore, once he was out, he was out. You can't say Yisrael, Afal Pi Shechata Yisrael. However, Yitzchak saw the way Esav was going. He wanted him to be able to realize that the path of Ra only leads to self-destruction. That's what he was trying to tell him. That's the Gilui of the Ketz. He wanted to tell him, you know what's going to be in the end? If you continue on this path, you know where you'll be? No, you won't be. You will self-destruct. Whereas Yaakov wanted to achieve the Chetz by overcoming the Ra. So there are two levels here. Oh, he amazed me. It works in two ways. There are two. The midos with which Hashem runs the world, Chesed, Vura, Tiferes, right? We're familiar with that already. Then there's Netzach and Hod. Netzach and Hod. Netzach means victory. Hod means admission. Hod, the Hodot. Ani modeh. Modeh, I admit. That's the Hod. So sometimes when Hashem wants, right, to employ the midah of Netzach, that's the conquering of evil. In other words, you battle evil, conquer evil, you'll get hurt perhaps, like Yaakov really did, got the Gid Anoshe right, and Yosef, who battled, and Yehuda certainly is the one who battled evil, his Yetzer Hara. He could have easily denied it was he and let Tamar go to wherever she ended up going, because she wasn't about to admit that, to say who did it, but he didn't. And Yehuda admitted and said, Tzadka mimeni, she's far greater than I am. That's vanquishing. That's the whole Yehuda part. That's the whole David part. That's David HaMelech, who was the Baal Tshuva. David HaMelech, who came from Ruth, who was a Baalas Tshuva, who was a Gioris. That's the whole methodology. There's evil in the world. And we fall into the evil. And we're affected by the evil. But if we overcome the evil, we beat the evil, that's the way the Geula will come. But there's another way. There's another way, and that other way is that the evil will cease to be because it can't get any worse. Can't get any worse. Netzach is overcoming. Hoy means it's the end. There's nothing there. I mean, there's only this there. I can't. I'm not here. He causes the evil to dissipate. That's the midah of Hod. The midah of Hod is pretty much all we have left. It's really, when you think about it, because we're all caught up in this stuff. I mean, in many ways, you'll see in a minute.
Can we just go over the Hod again, please?
Hod is where the evil admits that it's wrong. So either it ceases to be evil and it is part of the toiv, or it implodes and it's no longer there. That's the evil. There's the conquering, there's the act of conquering, and then there is the act of admission. Oh, now I see. Now what's going to happen? Ultimately, with the rest of the world, I'm not talking about Jews right now, rest of the world, Mashiach is here. Now, how are they going to respond? Oh, I think I made a mistake. Pretty big one, right? I mean, that's Hod, okay? Where you admit you were wrong. You admit that this is the truth. I see the truth. This is the reality. You try to deny Mashiach. Yes, you're not there anymore. That's it. Then there's nothing else.
That's kind of a negative connotation, like admitting.
Both have negative connotations. But you're right. So okay. I'm glad you said that. So the word todah means thanks. The word hod means also admit, admission. Modeh b'mitzvah, modeh ani lefanecha. I admit that it's you who gave me this neshama. Every morning we say modeh ani lefanecha. Share that. You admit that, and your modeh al is thank you. Now, what's the connection between thank you and admission? Because every time somebody does something for you, and you say thank you, you are admitting you couldn't do it on your own. That's beautiful. That's what, and by the way, it depends on what the next letter is. If it's modeh sheh, that's admission. I admit that. If it's modeh al, nodeh lecho al. And we say in modim, we say both of them. Modim anachnu loch sheh, right? And then we say nodeh lecho al. We thank you for. It's an amazing thing, but that's only in Lashon HaKodesh. Thank you and admission really doesn't have any connection with each other, those words. But it should have, because whenever you're admitting, you're saying, whenever you're saying thank you, you're admitting something. Okay. Yes, that's exactly that. I admit, acknowledging, I admit I was wrong, and I acknowledge that you're right. Okay. So the Gemara brings a very interesting thing. Gemara brings that a whole set of things that Rabbi Bar Chana, one of the Amoraim, was shown special things. And one of the things he said was Ma'amid Har Sinai. Would you like to know where it is? What was going on over there? That's a whole different shit. But one of the things that he was shown was the place where Korach rebelled, the rebellion of Korach. And the Gemara says like this, that when he came to the place, when he was, it's like an Arab merchant was the shliach to reveal all these things, believe it or not. I mean, I'm not saying they're useless, but this Arab the merchant was showing Rabbi Bar Chana all these places. And when he came to the place where he told them where the Dor Midbar were buried, he also showed them where Korach rebelled. And when they got to the place where Korach rebelled, they heard voices coming out from hell. Moshe emes v'soyrasoi emes. What do you mean that? What do they have to say that in hell for? What do they have to say that in Gehenna? What are they saying that in Gehenna for? Moshe emes v'soyrasoi emes. Because you have to acknowledge, because you have to admit. That's the admission. They're not just trying to give praise to Moshe emes and Torah emes. They're admitting that they were wrong and Moshe was true and the Torah is true. This is so clear that if you don't admit you cease to be, the minute the world will admit that there's a Borei Olam who really runs the world, and it's not President so-and-so, and it's not Vice President so-and-so, and it's not even the Senate. It's the Rabbeinu Shalom, the one who knows and rules, and he uses these pawns, if you will. Okay, now, for us, it's really hard to imagine that we can be victorious over evil. That's really hard. You know why? Because we're caught up in it. Esav, it says, Beis Yaakov Eish, Beis Yosef Lahava. Beis Yaakov is going to be the coal, and Yaakov is going to be, and Yosef is going to be the flame, and Esav is going to be the straw, kash. Got a lot of kash, this Yosef. Beis Yaakov Eish, Beis Yosef Lahava, Beis Esav Lakash. That's a Novi Lavaja. He's going to be the straw. No, you have a cold. You have fire flaming all over the place. Everything is in the parsha. And you have fire burning up everything. Yes. And look at what it's burning. And where it's burning. That's where everybody thinks it's these stupid idiots' fault. They blame this one, they blame that one, and nobody is blaming the society that they were living in. Nobody. Because they can't. But, so therefore, if we realize, there's a famous, says by Yeshev Yaakov, there's a medrash that says, where he said that Beis Yaakov will be the coal in Yosef Lahava. So the Medrash brings a mashal. There was a shuk with a lot of stalls, and there was one fella that had a lot of flax. That was his. He was a blacksmith. Let's start that way. There was a blacksmith working in his, and then the fella next door started to get a flax business with a lot of flax, piles and bales and bales and bales, and it was squeezing out this poor blacksmith. So a chacham comes by and says, what are you worried about? One spark from your anvil and the whole cash goes. One spark of light, then the whole evil that we are perceiving will go. But the trouble is, the cash of Esav, what's the cash of Esav? It's the cash. It's the cash. Oh, is it the cash, the materialism, and the whole thing that Esav stands for, and the dog eat dog, and just the whole moral underpinning of our world is falling apart, and we see it. But we're part of it too, and we have to know that, and we're affected by it. I don't say that we're Esav Rachmana litzlan. We have to get back to the Kishem She'em B'libcha Echad Kach Ein B'libeinu Echad. Nothing else. See, we too think if we had a little bit more cash, we had a better army, a better politician, and we're constantly waiting for the next elections. That's what we do. Can't wait till the next election. This election, that election, whose election, that. That's really going to solve the world's problem. Only the Rabbeinu Shalom is going to solve the world's problem. Only we, Klal Yisrael, if we're functioning properly. And it doesn't mean, I've always said this, my Rebbe Rafater always said, whatever's going to happen to Rebbe Yisrael will happen to Klal Yisrael. Whatever happens to the individual, when we as individuals, every individual will affect Klal Yisrael. Okay. So we have to put it all into this framework of recognizing that Hashem is going to have to appear to the world, to us. We will perhaps, hopefully, let go of the cash, let go of the cash, let go of all of this silliness that overrides us, and return to the Makor, to the, and that's called Geula. And whether the rest of the world will come about and do it too, that remains to be seen. There'll be a few. There are a few mentioned. There really are. But they're going to be individuals. I don't think nations are going to be a part of this. It'll be individuals. Individuals who admit, even though, they believe in whatever they believe in. I couldn't care less, but they're nice and they're good and they're caring and they want to help and they see truth and they're not caught up with lies. Those are the kind of people, Jewish or not Jewish, they'll be okay. So our Gula just will come, just like the Gula for Klal Yisrael came. Now, who was the Goyal by Klal Yisrael? Moshe. Moshe was the Goyal. He was the one, he was Mashiach for Klal Yisrael then. He brought an end to the Golus and started the Gula. Now, where did he get the name Moshe from? Bas Paro. Why? Ki min hamayim mishisihu. I pulled him out of the water. And that's the name he's left with, is Moshe, because that lady called him Moshe. Mishisihu, I pulled him out. She wasn't that lady. She was a woman who understood everything. She saw. And let me tell you, what's water? What's water? Well, quenches your thirst. It's nice. Yeah, it's water. Water. Like to take a shower once in a while. It's nice. Go swimming. Water! You can't live without water. But also, water is the prime representation of materialism, of chomer. Why? Because you can't give it a format, unless you freeze it. But you can't give it a format. It only takes the form of the container that it's in. Water can't be formed into anything. Now, form is chomer. You have to take chomer and make it into all chomer. If you want to be able to use the chomer, you have to form it into something that will be utilitarian, that you can use in a certain shape, in a certain this, and put it all together and add it with that and put it with this. It becomes something that you can use, and if you can use it, the minute you change the shape, it's something else altogether. That's chomer. Chomer is there to be formed, to be designed in a particular way to function. But water without it is just overpowering. It just doesn't want to, you cannot control that water. Min hamayim mishisihu. Moshe was drawn out of the materialism. He came out of the water. He had no contact with the material, with the physicality. Moshe Rabbeinu was the goyal. That's the min hamayim mishisihu. I'm pulling him out from the water. Is what I'm pulling him out. Actually, she didn't really pull him out of water, but she said that's what she was doing. I mean, he wasn't in the water; he was in a teva. But min hamayim mishisihu. He came out from under the effects of the kash of Esav, of the materialism of Esav.
Sorry, I thought mine frequently is like the
Torah. That is correct. That too. That shows you the enormity of Lashon HaKodesh and what Mayim is. Mayim, by the way, what's the singular for Mayim? There is none, because it's all water. What's all water? Water is in truth, yes, it's representative of Chomer, but if it's put into a form, water put into a form, then it becomes functioning. So that's the Torah. That's the word of let's put it this way. There's the Chomer and there's the Tzura. The Tzura is the way it's formatted, okay? So Torah is the form of the physical world, of the Chomer of the world. And therefore, Torah is compared. Anyone who's thirsty, you should run to the Torah. Why run to the Torah? Because the Torah will format you into the right type of individual. Just like water is formatted by the container or the tzura, the form. So you're 100% right. Torah is compared to Mayim, and that's why Torah is compared to Mayim. But it's the Mayim that has to be formatted by the Torah. Okay. So one last thing. There's a big machlokes. Big machlokes. Between Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer said like this: if Klal Yisrael will do tshuva, Mashiach will come. If we do not do tshuva, he's not going to come. Says Rabbi Yeshua to Rabbi Elazar, that can't be. No. What do you mean? We don't do. Tell me if we don't do tshuva. He says, well, the Mashiach's going to come whether we do tshuva or we don't do tshuva. And they each brought psukim to prove that they were right. And in the end, Rabbi Yeshua brought a pasuk that Rabbi Elazar couldn't answer. So the halacha is like Rabbi Elazar. We're not going to do tshuva. But the Gemara says, we're not going to do tshuva. Says Rabbi Yeshua, no. It's not that we are not going to do tshuva. It depends how we do the tshuva. According to Rabbi Elazar, the choice is ours, and if we do tshuva, fine. If we don't do tshuva, it's all over. Says Yeshua, that can't be. What will be is that if they do tshuva, fine. If we don't do tshuva, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will cause a melech ra kehaman who wants to destroy every man, woman, and child of Klal Yisrael, and that will bring us to do tshuva. So in the end, we're going to do tshuva. You're stuck, just like we're stuck being Jewish. We are stuck in the fact that we will do tshuva, whether we like it or not. Sometimes the force is coming from the outside, and sometimes the force is coming from the inside. When the force is coming from the inside, that's Rabbi Elazar, who said that when we'll do tshuva, Mashiach will come. That's the hope, where we will admit that that we have to do tshuva, and we will be doing tshuva. Rabbi Yeshua says, yes, that would be wonderful, but the matzav is pretty bad. He saw into the future what we're facing. And there's going to be a melech ra, Rasha Kahaman, like wants to destroy. That's reality. Come on. Isn't that what's the world today? They're not interested in land. They're interested in our not being here. That's all it is. So we have to be very, very clear that that's our only hope. The only hope is for us to come and to recognize before the Melech Russia comes and forces us to do the tshuva. We're going to one way or the other do the tshuva, but we want to do it in a way that is netzach, that we have. By the way, the word netzach means victory, and it also means eternity. We want eternity. If we wanted eternity enough, the netzach, we would acquire nitzachah, the victory. And that's what we're waiting for, Be'ez Hashem, that all of Klal Yisrael, that we should merit to umevi goel livnei v'neihem leman shmoi bi'ava. We didn't add that at the end, because in the beginning I wanted to put it at the end, leman shmoi bi'ava. Maybe goel livnei v'neihem, he's going to bring the gula to Klal Yisrael, the bnei v'neihem of the avos and the shvatim, leman Shmo, for his name's sake, meaning that the whole world will come to recognize that there is a Borei Olam, and when we do tshuva, that will be the biggest demonstration and testimony of Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad.
Can there be some and some?
Will there be some and some?
Some people.
Well, some people
recognize
it'll be
it.
too late for them. For some people it'll be too late. It depends that is already all in Hashem's hands. If Hashem sees that there is a person that really wants it, but the Yetzer Hara gets in the way, then that's fine. When somebody is just lahachis, you should be very careful, because when Mashiach comes, he's going to look and he'll stop being, because he can't continue where he is. He can't. We're not there. The world may be there, but we're not there. We're all people who want Mashiach, and we want the good, and we want the Torah to reign supreme, and we want the world to recognize Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. Okay. Thank you.